Hi, and welcome to the speaker series. My name is Ellie Weisbaum, and I'm an assistant professor at the University of Toronto's Buddhism, Psychology, and Mental Health program. What you're about to watch is an excerpt from my course, Buddhist Perspectives on Current Social Issues, where we invited a series of international guest lecturers to share their perspective on how mindfulness and compassion can inform our approaches to current social issues, both at an individual and systemic level. This series was sponsored by the New College Initiatives Fund, and we really hope that these dialogues can serve to be engaging and informative for the context of your daily life, and that they can help us collectively consider how we can build a more healthy and compassionate society. Thanks for joining us, and enjoy the video. The speaker you're about to watch is Brother Phap. He received a professional BA in architecture from the University of California and worked as an architect and designer for 4 years before becoming a monk. He helped establish Deer Park, which is Thich Nhat Hanh Center in California, along with the other US centers, and in these spaces designed programs and retreats for children, teens, families, young adults, and many different professions. He's led mindfulness retreats in North and South America, China, Hong Kong, India, Bhutan, and Germany. I had the pleasure of actually traveling with him in India and Bhutan and across many centers in Europe to teach and explore mindfulness. He's particularly interested in meditation as a method to cultivate the mind and to consider how this impacts us both individually and collectively.
I grew up in a Buddhist family, and we went to, Sunday temple, like the Sunday church that you go to, because we had to. And my parents promised me good food afterwards. And so I grew up like that. And I became very Americanized, and I even forgot to speak Vietnamese at some point. And then when I suffered a lot of anger towards my father, my mom took me to see our teacher at a lecture. And then a few years later, I went to see, because he's like a Vietnamese monk that speaks English. And so I went to the first retreat because I wanted to meet some Vietnamese people, and because I was going to go to Vietnam. So I went to the first retreat, and I discovered Buddhism is not just a religion or a temple activity, but actually there's an element of practice, of meditation, of mind training. And that was the indoor for me. I began to see and have the effects that meditation had on me and my well-being and my viewpoint towards my father, my anger, my resentment. So that just want to share with you that personal note why I chose and dedicate my career towards doing this. And I don't see it as a religion, but I see it as recently I was at Glasgow for the conference on climate, and someone introduced me as a spiritual leader, like big, I was like with the activists, with the politician, with the CEO, and then I was representing the spiritual element. And he introduced me as a spiritual leader. And I've never been introduced like that, and he made a big thing, like, on the level of like, oh, now I represent the religion side of climate, the religious voice. And I felt actually uneasy about it. And I shared it. I was like, actually, I don't see myself as a religious leader. I see myself like a rebel. And that kind of like brought some, again, reframing. I see myself as a resistor, and the actual Buddhist monastics are actually resisting the convention, this what society framed. So this just to let you know a little bit of background and my view of what I do in the world. And this is in resisting, not resisting as in protest, but some of the things that we deem as happy and a well-lived life is, I question that. And so this is something I discovered, how to be in the world. And then now in discovering the different tools that help me, that's what I do to help other people discover that. So Buddhism there, I reframe here as, in the time of the Buddha, there was no Buddhism. It was an actual social movement. Just like in Christianity, when Jesus formed it, he wasn't looking to form a religion. And they were all human movement or activist movement to speak up, to go against, to challenge, right? So that's the Buddha and Jesus and all religious leaders, Muhammad to Gandhi to Martin Luther King. So I see it more like a human movement to actually help people question the establishment, question the conventions that we think is normal, the status quo, as you would say. And so this is our teachers. Thich Nhat Hanh is also a revolutionary, a resistor. Some of you might know his history. So this is a kind of framing of what a monk is and what a nun is. We're not like religious and trying to proselytize and change everybody to become Buddhist, but actually we just found a different way to be human in the world, and there are ways to do it that is beneficial for ourselves and for the environment, for the planet, and for future generation. So just to give you a little background and my perspective on what I'm doing. And in sharing this with you, it is not from a religious, but more practical perspective, so that you can, be asked to look at our views about the world and some of the things that has caused suffering in the 20th century is a kind of individual, I'll go briefly. I won't go into very detail about these, but questioning the individual, focus on the individual, kind of individualism, our view from the Renaissance, and you look at human history, that there's so much emphasis on the human and even the biological framing from Darwin, the misunderstanding of Darwin's teaching, like from the individual and the survival and the fitness and so on. There's a competitiveness to it. So there's a questioning of the individualism. And this is what, that actually we are very connected, cooperative, and we are very connected. When a member of our family suffer, we also suffer. And when we suffer, we can cause suffering. So there's this interconnection that we need to revisit. So these are some of the things, one of the things and the other is materialism, that actually striving to gain materially brings us happiness and fulfillment, and we question that. So the age of capitalism and the effects of that kind of viewpoint on our purpose of the world, in the world, and it's caused detriment to other societies and other nations. We fight for resources. We have war for resources, and we harm the planet because we see, water is for us to use, for instance. And then militarism, that's been the answer, war and violence, and that we question that. And this is something that's prevalent now, very causing a lot of anxiety in the world right now, because of our way of looking at how to solve and coexist together, how to solve problems and real problems. And we can't find other means except using military and the war. And I'm a product of that, as well as colonialism is a kind of new visioning, especially in the last, I would say 50 or 100 years, revisiting of how we've been operating as nations, as groups of people. We take over, we exploit, and we dominate. And that is the current situation now, as you can see, what drives one nation to take over another nation. Of course, it's a very complicated history, but so those some of the things that we begin to question and to look more deeply into.
Thanks for watching the video. We hope you found it engaging and informative. If you'd like to know more about programming in the Buddhism, Psychology, and Mental Health program, or other public series and events that we have coming up, please check out in the description a link to our website and also more about the speaker in this video. Thanks for joining us.